Hi and welcome. In today's video we're going to talk about how to get a good clean cut with an intricate die. So you know the situation. You have these beautiful low profile dies. This is a Spellbinders die. You can see all these beautiful little cuts in here. It just looks like it's going to be so beautiful. And then you take it to your die cut machine and it comes out something like this, where it's only partially cut. And maybe it's really stuck into the die and you end up ripping some of the pieces. Well, now, before you decide to just throw away the die or run it over with your car or swear at it, I have a couple of tips for you that might make it a bit easier to get a good clean cut with your dies. First of all, it's probably not the die's fault. As much as we might like to scream and yell at them, there are a lot of teeny tiny little cuts in here. It's going to make it a lot harder to get a good clean cut. So it's not necessarily the die's fault. That leaves, of course, the die cutting machine. So I have a Big Shot. These are the plates. Of course, they're clear so you can't see it as well, but you can see how used they are. They're actually not bad. For the most part, they still cut pretty well. I'm probably getting pretty close to needing new ones. Part of the problem is every time you cut, it makes a little indentation or a little cut into the plate, and then you have these teeny tiny little cuts on a plate that's not a solid surface. Of course, it's not going to cut very well. Not only that, over time they warp. The pressure sometimes from these manual machines is not necessarily uniform, and so sometimes what you'll have is spaces where it does cut out and then spaces where it doesn't cut out. And so that really shows to you that they don't apply uniform pressure throughout. So I have a couple of techniques to kind of help this out. So hopefully we will save this die from ending up in the garbage or under a car tire. So the first thing we're going to use is something most of us have in our house, and that is wax paper. Basically, you just need one that's big enough to go with your die. I, of course, have way too much here, so let's shrink this down a little bit. Now, when you cut with wax paper, you want the wax paper first on top of the die, and then your paper on top of the die. And then you're going to sandwich that in between your plates. Now, the wax paper helps primarily with releasing it from the die so that you don't rip your cardstock as you're trying to get it back out of the die itself. But it also kind of helps to cut it as well. But I can see there's quite a bit here that's not cutting properly. So I'm actually going to shim this up as well. And I'm going to just start out with a single piece of cardstock, and it's going to lay on top of my plates to give it a little bit more pressure. And then in my machine, I'm going to run it this way, then I'm going to turn it around and run it this way. So hopefully I get good even pressure throughout the entire die. So I'm going to go cut mine using these techniques, and I'll show you the results. Okay, we're back. We can already see it's an improvement because we got a circle. Yay! The other thing you'll notice is that you can see on the back side it's cut completely through. And that was just with a single piece of a cardstock shim. It wasn't doubled, it wasn't tripled, it was just one single piece of extra cardstock. I keep a number of shims right next to my machine. So a single layer and a triple layer, and that usually covers everything that I'm going to need. And then we can just start to work to pop this out. Now, it's still not perfect, but it does come loose pretty quickly. And I don't really feel like I'm going to have to worry about it ripping. Now the wax paper doily that's left, or circle, could be cool to use as well. Now you'll notice I still have a couple pieces here that are stuck in there, but they should release pretty quickly. And I'm just using a paper piecing tool, kind of pop them out. They'll release pretty easily. So there. So with just a couple of techniques, a couple of additions, the wax paper and a easy shim, I went from this to this. And I do find over time, if I continue to use the wax paper, it will actually kind of sharpen up my die just a little bit, and I actually won't need to use the shim at all. So now you know how to get a good cut from these really intricate dies. If you have any questions, please be sure to let me know.